All right, in today's video, we're going to be going over 4 overrated units and 8 underrated units. So, right into it, the first overrated unit is going to be Ainz. So, my main issues with his kit is his True Art has 4 arts a second and 6 a second for demons with a crit debuff. That's cool, right? And then his Super Art has a 100% crit damage buff with a 200% crit buff for dark units. Amazing. So he wants to be on MDD with Mono Dark Demon. Pretty normal. But my issue with him is we have Hoka in the game. And Hoka just has his kit, but better. And I'm not saying he should be like a Hoka copy and he should be better than Hoka or anything. But I don't think Hoka should work better on MDD than Ainz, if you know what I'm saying. Like, Ainz gives a 200% crit damage buff. That's his, like, with a restriction. That's just for dark units. But Hoka gives a 300% crit damage buff to everyone. Like, with the restriction, Ainz should be like having a higher buff than Hoka. So what I think needs to happen with Ainz is I think he needs a massive buff. He needs more arts specifically for demons or dark units, and he needs a higher crit damage multiplier. So I think his multiplier on his super art should be a 200% crit damage buff and an extra 200% for dark units. So 400% crit damage buff. And then his true art should be like 6 arts a second and then 8 arts a second for demons. Something like that. The main issue is probably that super art. Just most of the time when I'm using his super art, I feel like it doesn't really do anything. Like, it's not very impactful. But I'm not saying he should be as strong as Hoka, but Hoka shouldn't be better at everything with no restrictions, while Ainz is worse at everything with the restriction of Mono Dark Demon. If you know what I'm saying. But he's just a little overrated in my opinion. And then we're going to go on to the next one, DK Vox. So he is only good on Mono Demon. And because Mono Demon isn't very good right now, he's not that good. So MDD is his main comp. Because, it's just better with Dark Relics. And like the main MDD comp is going to be like Ainz, DK Vox, Diablo. And then me personally, I like using Albedo just because, she keeps the whole team alive very easily. It's a very solid team. And then you can run all 5 Dark Relics and it's busted. But like DK Vox, he's only good on Mono Demon. That's it. He's a little overrated. Like, I get that he is like Aura incarnate, like he is Aura, but he's just not that good. He's really good on MDD because he has that 60% stats up on his super art, but like that's it. That's it. His passive, he has like 3 arts a second to demon units. I think that could be a little higher. Like, we got Shadow out here with 5 arts a second passively to all dark units. That's busted. Why can't this man have like 5 arts a second to demon allies? And then, he's just a little underwhelming. But I don't want this video to be just complaining about units. I want it to be more about hyping up underrated units. So we're going into the next one. DL Rim. He's just no longer a top DPS, and he's just an okay damage buffer with his true art spam. There's just there's just better damage dealers nowadays. Like, I remember back in the day with MDD was just on top. That's why all of them are on the overrated category. Just because they were on top back in the day, and they've just been, they're just not anymore. Other team comps are just better now. And like, they're still good, but they're just overrated. And then the final one in the overrated category, this one might be a hot take. It's going to be Emperor Islet. So here's my take. He's overrated if you're just true art spamming. And that's what most people do with Islet. I think to use him to the fullest of his potential, you should have 2 other Archgeners on your team. And then with Islet, you should be true art, super art cycling. Then you get that damage res down. Then you get what was it? It was like magic if he's in the first slot, support if he's in the second slot, and physical if he's in the third slot. You get equip CT for those equip types. And then for his super art, it refreshes half of his cooldown, and then it'll give the whole team like 30% equip CT. It's pretty good. It's pretty good kit if you use the whole thing. He can be a substitute for like SGL, and that's pretty awesome. So if you are using his whole kit, that's amazing. If you're not, he's just going to be overrated. He's not really in that SSS if you're not using his whole kit. But that's my talk. That's my take on all 4 of my overrated units. Now we're going to get into the underrated units. So the first one in underrated, she's not really that underrated, but she's just really good. Shuna. So she's going to be one of the best healers in the game, and she has a great magic damage buffer with the biggest magic res down in the game, and she has cleanse and archgen. So overall, really, really solid unit. If you have her, she's going to be really, really good at keeping your team alive and making sure you can just cleanse statuses immediately with her true art. And then 50% heal on the art is insane. That's such a good heal. And if you're running a magic team, her super art is going to buff damage so much. It's just amazing. So if you have Shuna and you haven't been using her, maybe you should try her. She's really good. Next up is going to be Halloween Forte. In my opinion, Halloween Forte is the best dark support. So, her art has attack up and equip CT 40% up. Her true art is 4 arts a second, which is little low, I'll say that, but 4 arts a second, still good. It's type B, and there's like no other type B arch generators on dark, so. And then we have 100% dark res down on that true art, and then her super art is 200% damage and break power up for dark allies. So, if you pair her with like Pencilgon, or with Accelerator, who's going to come out soon, the breaks are going to go crazy. It's just going to be so much break. Or even like Duke. Pair her with Duke, crazy breaks. And crazy damage. 100% dark res down, 200% dark damage up. That's amazing. So, and that 40% equip CT is phenomenal. That'll make sure all your equips are just so much more productive. So I know people know she's a good unit, but I don't think they know how good she is. So she's up there. She in my book, I think she's like the second best dark unit, or maybe now the third because of Hajime. But she's high on the list of dark units. And then next up is going to be Alpha. So Alpha, let me read the parts of her kit that I think are really good. So her true art, 6 arts a second, and a crit debuff. Really good. Her super art, 100% physical damage up, and an additional 100% every time you use it within 30 seconds of the last super art. And that maxes out at 400% physical damage up. And then she has a really, really solid passive. So when her HP is low, she heals the whole team by 100% and gives them 50% DR for 10 seconds. That's crazy. She's just like, nah, nobody's going to die. It's insane. So I think the reason she's underrated is because she was overshadowed by Hoka. So she was released right after Hoka, and when most people said, why would I use her when I can just use Hoka? Which is like a valid point because Hoka's still better, but she's still a really good unit. She's very similar to Hoka in that she's an Archgener with a crit debuff, and she has a massive buff. Like a massive buff. Her buff is even bigger than Hoka's. It just takes time to get there. And it's only for physical units. So yes, Hoka is still better, but she's still a really, really good unit. And I would consider her very underrated. Especially that passive. That passive is crazy. And then next up is going to be Sanosuke. So Sanosuke is just a top 3 DPS. This man hits so hard. If you put him on mono water with Hoka and HK Roy, he becomes insane. The damage output this man has is stupid on that team. Just because, like, okay, Hoka and HK Roy are buffing and debuffing to, like, insane extents. So we already have that. And then you add the fact that each of them have 7 arts a second. You put that on Sanosuke with his super art stacking, his buff on his super art stacks. He just stacks it, stacks it, stacks it, and eventually he's going to be hitting nukes with every super art. And it's crazy. So I think he's really, really good. I used him against the Tuesday Crest Palace, and with the mono water team of like Hoka, HK Roy, Beta, and Sanosuke, it just obliterated it. It was amazing. Like the bird on that, the final fight on the Tuesday Nova, it's supposed to take less damage the closer you get to the threshold. But with Sanosuke, he just blows it up and it never gets close to the threshold. It just like goes straight to it. It's beautiful. I love it. So I'm deeply saddened that I didn't get him, but I'm very grateful that I got to experience it in multiplayer. And then next up, we have Oikatsu. So most of the vets know about this one, but I feel like a lot of people don't know about this. So on his art, he has a 30% heal. That's awesome. His true art, he has 150% ack up and 70% damage up and 5 arts a second to himself. That is a solid true art. His super art, he has 150% magic res down and all allies flinch res. Amazing. His passive, one of his passives, when near death, heal his HP by 100% and his arts by 200. Beautiful. Another passive, he gets 4 arts a second when his HP is above 80%. And then this passive is crazy. You know how Hiro Saitama has that ratio passive for 3% of his attack? Oikatsu has it for 3% of his attack and defense. That's like an easy 600% damage up. Just easy. That's insane. Like, my boy's whole kit has something to mention. The whole kit. He's just like that. And I've tried doing DPS testing. It doesn't work with him. I don't understand it. Like in the free practice, I've been trying to hit 1 billion with Oikatsu. It doesn't work. But then if I use him in actual fights, he just goes crazy. He's just blowing up the boss so easily. I don't understand it. I don't know if it's like bugged in free practice or something. But he's just out here nuking all these bosses, and it's beautiful. So he's definitely underrated. And then next up is going to be Albedo. So Albedo, on her skill, she gets 60 arts. Like, I you might not think that's something to talk about, but 60 arts on a skill is crazy. She's getting like a fifth of her arts gauge just by pressing her skill button. That's so silly. And then her art is going to permanently increase demons attack and damage res by 10% with a max at 30%. So you use that 3 times, boom. All your demons have 30% DR passively. Beautiful. And then the true art, 20% physical res plus a 10k barrier for the whole team. Her super art is 60% DR for 12 seconds. That's insane. And then her passive, when near death, increase arts by 300 and all allies HP by 50%. So if she ever gets to the point where she's almost going to die, she just heals everybody on the team, and then she immediately gets her super art, and then you just give the whole team 60% more DR, and they just won't die. It's beautiful. And she has flinch res passively. She is the 3rd best tank in the game behind Shiro and Beta, in my opinion. But if you put her on a mono demon team, she's by far the best. By far. You got that 30% permanent DR for demons. You add the super art with 60% DR. We're at 90% DR. You throw in the defense equip, you're cooling. If you have the true art up, you got 20% more DR. And then with her passive, you already have that 90% DR. If her passive procs, you heal the whole team. And you're fine. You're just fine. Everybody just lives. She's crazy on Mono Demon. Like, it's like Shiro, but even better. I love it. I think she's super underrated. Like, if you look on the GS tier list, like, I don't even remember what it's called, the Grand Summoners Database tier list. Somebody needs to take a look at that. We need to get that fixed. That tier list is terrible. But she's like an A tier. Nah. 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 I think she's like in B tier. No, she is higher than that. She's crazy. I love Albedo. She's so good. And then next up, we have Demiurge. So, Demiurge on his True Art has a 10k barrier for everyone and status res. Not a cleanse, status res. So you use it and then you won't get the status ailment. If you get a status ailment and then you use it, it's not going to cleanse the status ailment. But if you use it before you get a status ailment, you just won't get the status ailment. So it's awesome. And then his super art, he has a 50% stackable fire damage buff for 80 seconds and 100 arts refund. So you can spam that like crazy and get so much fire damage up. And my thing with Demiurge is it's not so much that he's good, but that no one else on Ascended Fire has a non-taunt damage barrier or a status res. So he's the only Ascended Fire unit with a non-taunt barrier or a status res. Like there's nobody with a taunt barrier, a non-taunt barrier, and then there's nobody with status res on Mono Fire. So like, he's underrated simply because there's nobody else that can do what he does. So like Priscilla has a cleanse, but that's not resistance, you know? If you know the difference, you know what I'm talking about. But I think he's underrated. He's a pretty solid unit. He would definitely have helped me out on the fire runes, but I had to power through without him, and it was terrible. I much rather would have just loved to have Demiurge for those. But our last underrated unit is going to be FM Heart. So his art helps him to get to low HP if you don't have Divine Arachnid's Tears. His true art is going to be 5 arts a second and 120% attack up for him for 100 seconds. That's a long ass time. And then his super art, all allies arts 50 up. That includes him. So the whole team's getting 50 arts. And then it increases his own arts by how low his HP is. So if his HP is at 1, he's going to get 150 arts from that, plus that extra 50 arts. So now he's refunding 200 arts by using his super art. And then his passive, he has defense ignore passively, and he has damage up the lower his HP is. So max 350%. Amazing. And then another passive, when he dies, he will revive the whole team and give everyone 200 arts. This is insane for nuking and getting every unit's kit online ASAP. It's just, I love using this unit. He's so fun. He just speeds up the game so much, and he does so much damage by himself. And he's a really good arch gener. Like if you have Divine Arachnid's Tears, that's best in slot on him no matter what. You pop it right away. He dies. He revives himself. And then he gives the whole team 200 arts. And then you just true art right away to get his 5 arts a second. And then super art, you just keep cycling the super art. It's 100 arts for the super art, basically. That it's broken. I love using him. He's just so much fun to play. And yeah, that's going to be my overrated and underrated units in Grand Summoners right now. So let me know what you think in the comments. But yeah, that's it for this video. See ya.